Hello everyone, welcome to the class once again. I hope you're all doing good and in the best of your health. So after learning all the concepts in unit and measurement, let's go and practice question based upon J Advanced pattern exercise. In J Advanced examination, question will be of single choice, multiple choice, and you'll be having an integer type question that will be having one integer as the right answer. Now we have done this chapter very well, but let me tell you there will be some concept, there will be some terms that will be actually you'll be coming across while studying the latest chapters in this class 11th and class 12th. So don't worry about them, you'll just understand how to use all the concept that we have used about dimensional analysis, about units and measurements. So need not to worry. If you're unaware about some terms, need not to worry, you will see how I will be solving the questions in this class. So just be thorough with all the concepts and see how to apply them. Let's start and practice question based upon J Advanced pattern exercise on this chapter units and measurement. The first question of the class, let epsilon naught denote the dimensional formula of permittivity of vacuum. Need not to worry about this term if you are not aware about what is permittivity of vacuum, you will come to know about it. If m equals to mass, L equals to length, T equals to time and A is electric current, then A given epsilon naught is in this way, B the dimensional formula for epsilon naught is this, C this, D this. We need to check which dimensional formula actually suits with the dimensional equation for epsilon naught. Now epsilon, where it is used, it's used in Coulomb's law, and let me actually take you with the application where it is used, epsilon naught. So in Coulomb's law, if you have studied earlier also, that force acting between two charged particles is given by F is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 upon R square. This is the value of force that acts on between two charged particles. If I need to find the dimensional equation for epsilon naught, I'll be just making this subject epsilon naught equals to Q1 Q2 divided by 4 pi F R square. This is the formula we'll be reaching at. Q and Q2, that are the Q1 and Q2 I have used, that is actually the charge. You just supply the formula, supply the dimensional formula for each of the variables used here. So let me just, if I need to find out the dimensional equation, dimensional formula for epsilon naught, this will be charge. Charge is equal to current into time. So let me write here, it's a product of two charges. So A into T, that is the unit of current, multiplied with unit of time, that is A into T I have done, and whole square. 4 pi constant, need not to worry. Force, we all know force is ml T power minus 2. So I have supplied this, and R is actually distance between the two charges, so that will be actually L to the power 2. This is what we'll be getting. Now just you simplify this. If we simplify, we'll be obtaining m is in the denominator. So m power minus 1, L1 and L2, L power 3 overall. So when it comes in the numerator, L power minus 3. T power minus 2 we have in the denominator, it will go up T power plus 2, and here you have T power plus 2, it will become T power plus 4, and before that we have ampere here, so A power 2, or let me put T power plus 4 first, then A power 2. This is the dimensional formula for epsilon naught. So we got this m power minus 1, L power minus 3, T power 4, A power 2. Let's check. M power minus 1, L power minus 3, T power 2. No, we got T power 4. So this will be incorrect. Option A is incorrect. Option B, M power minus 1, L power minus 3, T power 4, A power 2. This is the option that we are getting. M power minus 1, L power minus 3, T power 4, A power 2. So this is the option that is matching with our calculation. Next, if you check this m power minus 2, so absolutely incorrect. And again, this will be the incorrect response. The right answer will be epsilon naught equals to m power minus 1, L power minus 3, T power 4, A power 2. So by this way, we got to know that how you can apply the dimensional formula, the dimensional method to actually find the dimensional formula for any given physical variable. Here it was epsilon naught, that is permittivity of free space, and I have given you where it is used. Most of you would be knowing also about the epsilon naught term. Let's go ahead with the next question. Which of the following sets have different dimensions? There are certain pairs given, there are certain sets given here. We need to check whether their dimensional formula is same or whether they are different. And you have to check which have different dimensions. that is need to check which all have got different dimension. So option number A has got pressure, Young's modulus and stress, B has got EMF, potential difference, electric potential, C is heat, work done and energy, and D is dipole moment, electric flux, electric field. So what we are going to do, we are going to check each of the terms what dimension they actually have. Pressure, if I write about pressure, we just see here, pressure we all know that pressure is equal to force per unit area. So if I write force per unit area, this will be the formula. I am not going to write the dimensional equation because actually that will be of no use in this calculation part. So let us directly go with the next term, Young's modulus. I believe that you would be new to this term Young's modulus, but need not to worry. In this class 11th only you will learn about Young's modulus. It's given as Y is equal to stress upon strain. And what is stress? Stress is just ratio of force applied on a particular wire with respect to the area of cross section of the wire. So it's equal to force per unit area divided by strain, that is change in length divided by length. This is the formula for Young's modulus. Now clearly this is actually division in the denominator. You see it's a division of length and length. So this will be there will be no unit in the denominator. Only thing that will be responsible to provide the unit to the Young's modulus or to provide the dimensional formula to the Young's modulus, that will be due to force upon area. So here also the dimensional formula of pressure and Young's modulus will be same. C is stress, you see, and the third we have stress. Stress is actually very simple, it's actually force per unit area. Just now I used the term stress, so this will be equal to force per unit area. So we got that pressure, Young's modulus, stress, all three will be having the same dimensional formula. So first of all, you see all three will be having the same dimensional formula. So this will not be the right answer because they are having the same dimensional formula. So I am just cancelling this option that is available to us. Let me just clear the board. For the next option to check, EMF, potential difference, electric potential. EMF, that is the electromotive force, that is actually used for a cell. That is actually potential difference that a cell can apply across a given resistor, that is the given as EMF. Now EMF and potential difference is what? It's actually difference between potential of two ends. Again the unit for EMF and potential difference will be same, the dimensional formula will be also same. Then comes electric potential. Electric potential at a particular point that will be having the same dimension as the EMF or potential difference. So again all three options are they will be having the same dimensional formula for each of the given variable terms that is used in option number B. So they are having same dimensional formula, so hence this will be an incorrect answer. Option number C, heat, work done, energy. All these three are simple representation of energy only. So heat is a form of energy, work done is actually if you have some energy you can do work. So work and energy are actually, they are having the same formula, they are having the same dimensional formula. So they will be having the same dimensional formula. So all three are going to be having the same dimensional formula. So again this will be an incorrect response. Let's go to the option number D, dipole moment. Most of you will not be aware about this term. Need not to worry, in class 12th when you study about charges, electric field, you will be coming across this term dipole moment. It is actually product of charge multiplied with distance. If I write down its dimensional formula, that will come out to be dipole moment. Its dimensional formula will be AT. This A I am writing for ampere, current, because charge is equal to I into T, current into time. So hence I am writing A into T. And for distance I am writing L. So this will come out to be L T A. We get the dimensional formula for dipole moment LTA. Now you say electric flux. What is electric flux? Is actually product of electric field multiplied with electric flux. If I write down, this is actually product of electric field multiplied with area. So need not to worry again about this term electric field multiplied with area. Now again, if you are unaware about the term electric field, need not to worry, you can write this as force per unit charge. So if I write electric field as, so I'm writing flux as phi is equal to force per unit charge multiplied with area, that is what is required in this equation. So I'm writing A for here, area I'm writing completely. Now force, if I just write down its dimensional equation, ml t power minus 2, charge just now I told it's current into time at, and area will be L power 2. Hence you see this m, let me write here m, then L we have L and L2, so L power 3 you will be having, T you see T power 1 you are having, it go up T power minus 1, so this will become T power minus 3 and A power minus 1. So completely different dimensional formula compared to the dipole moment and flux LTA, and here you are having ML3 T power minus 3 power minus 1. So this electric flux and dipole moment we got that both are having different dimensional formula. Hence this is actually suiting best to our given requirement which have different dimension. An electric field. Electric field, just now I showed you it will be force per unit charge, that is this term and this term. Let me also show you electric field also, what will be its dimensional formula. For electric field, if you all, just now I use the term, it is actually force per unit charge, and let me just mention its dimensional formula. Force I have written ml t power minus 2 divided by charge, that is current into time. Simply we need to just simplify this. So the next part that we are left, let me rub this part, dipole moment we got that it's LTA, and hence ml t power minus 2 we will be getting electric field E, its dimensional equation formula as m, and then we'll be having L and T power minus 3 and A power minus 1. So we got for electric field also it's a different, so this having different dimension all the three. So option number D will be the right answer for this question. Hope that you have understood how to solve, how to check the dimensional formula. I have explained each step, and if you are unaware about certain terms, need not to worry, it's a simple terms you will come across when you study more in class 11th and 12th accordingly. Next question 3. A quantity x is given by epsilon naught L delta V by delta T, where epsilon naught is permittivity of free space, L is a length, delta V is potential difference, and delta T is time interval. The dimensional formula for x is same as that of A resistance, B charge, C voltage, D current. Now say how to solve this. First of all, let me tell you, if you see we got terms resistance, charge, voltage, current. The very basic method will be you find the dimensional formula for this epsilon naught L delta V by delta T, and then what you do, you find the dimensional formula for resistance, you find the dimensional formula for charge, you find the dimensional formula for voltage, and dimensional formula for current. You see that in which it suits the best. So if I write x equal to epsilon naught L delta V by delta T, x equal to epsilon naught and L delta V by delta T, this is what the term that we are getting. Now here if you check, L is length, delta V is potential difference, and delta T is time interval, and epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Now before proceeding with the term, let me go ahead and let me tell you where epsilon naught is used. Epsilon naught is used here also to evaluate the capacitance. C is equal to epsilon naught A by the distance between the plates of capacitor. A is the area of the capacitor plates that we have used, and need not to worry, you will be coming across this. Epsilon naught A by D is actually the formula, so D I have written L. So from here if we write C is equal to epsilon naught A by L, so from epsilon naught will come out to be CL by A. One term I have written, and you will be understanding why I have written this term. Next you see, actually what is C? C we can write capacitance is C is equal to charge per unit potential difference. We can write C as charge per unit potential difference, that is Q by delta V. You can write this as C. Now clearly here also you have C equals to epsilon A by L and epsilon I have written CL by A, and here I got C equals to Q by delta V. So now if I write X, we will be obtaining X equal to epsilon naught. I am going to substitute epsilon naught CL by A. Before that, X equal to epsilon naught L delta V by delta T, and here epsilon naught, if you see, CL by A, C stands for capacitance, CL by A stands for area here, need not to confuse it with current because I am not writing the dimensional formula, and L multiplied with delta V by delta T. So let me write here delta V by delta T. Now from here C you write as Q by delta V, so you will be having Q by delta V and L by A, so L square by A, and then again you will be having delta V by delta T. We will be having this term, so delta V and delta V cancelled out, we will be having QL square by A delta T. Q by delta T, that is actually current. Q by delta T, that is actually current. So if I write that as I, Q by delta T as I, and L square by A, let me write it here, L square by A. This is the term that I am going to get for the value of X. So what you do, take note till here, let me rub the board and let me write at the other end, take note till here. Now I believe that you have already understood that what will be the dimensional formula for current after reaching, and you have understood why I have actually disclosed all the terms here, why I didn't evaluate the entire dimensional formula. X equal to I L square by A, this is the term we got, I stands for current. Now you see L square by A, if I write the dimensional formula for X, that will be equal to dimensional formula for current, so that will be actually equal to ampere I am using for current. Or let me keep it here as it is, because L square by A, here you will be having meter square, you will be having meter square, that will be cancelled out. So you will be having only dimensional formula as current. Now you see the dimensional formula for X is same as that of resistance, no, charge no, voltage no, current is the term that we are obtaining. This is a shortcut method I have told you. If you think that you can evaluate this dimensional formula for this, and then you will be evaluating dimensional formula for this, this, this and this and checking, you can do even that also. But that will be a lengthier method. It's better to proceed as I have told you just now. Let's proceed with the next question. A wire has mass 0.3 plus minus 0.003 gram, radius 0.5 plus minus 0.005 mm and length 6 plus minus 0.06 centimeter. The maximum percentage error in the measurement of its density is. You see here it's given that wire has a mass this much, its radius is given, its length is given. If I show you the wire will be something like this. Let's say this is the wire. Its linear dimension I have shown here, its circular area of cross section I have shown here, this is the radius. Now density is what? This is the length, this is the radius, and let's say its mass m is given here. Density will be mass per unit volume. This is what we generally know for density. Now we can write this as mass, volume will be pi r square into L, that's quite simple, mass upon pi r square L, that will be the volume. Now if I write about, I have told you how to find the error. Percentage error we need to evaluate. So delta rho by rho will be equal to delta m by m, delta m by m plus twice of delta r by r, twice of delta r by r plus delta L by L. This is the term that will be obtaining. Now for percentage error, I will be telling you how to find the percentage error, and before that, let me show you delta m by m. Delta m you see it's 0.003 divided by 0.3, that is the value of m. So 0.003 divided by 0.3, first term, now plus twice into delta r by r. Delta r radius you see 0.005 is the error, that is the maximum error that can occur, 0.005 divided by 0.5. 0.005 divided by 0.5 plus delta L. Delta L you see 0.06 is the delta L and L is 6. So 0.06 divided by 6. We obtained this for the value of delta rho by rho, relative error we have just evaluated. 0.003 by 0.3, you can see if you multiply 1000 here, you will be getting, or let me write here, 3 into this calculated as 0.3 into 10 to the power minus 2. So you will be having 10 to the power minus 2 here, plus twice of, again this will be having 0.5, you will be having again 10 to the power minus 2, plus you will be having again for this term also 10 to the power minus 2. So 10 to the power minus 2, if you take it outside, I will be having 1 plus 2, 3 plus 1, 4. So 4 into 10 to the power minus 2, this is a relative error. So for percentage error, delta rho by rho multiplied by 100%, this will come out to be is equal to 4 into 10 to the power minus 2 into 100. So comes out to be 4%. So 4% is the maximum percentage error that can occur in 4 questions. 1, 2, 3 are incorrect. This is the right answer for this. I hope that you have understood how to solve this, and just you all would have noted all this. So I believe that you have understood this question number 4. Let's go to the next question, question number 5. It reads as this: density of a solid ball is to be determined in an experiment. So density we need to find out, that is mass per unit volume. The diameter of the ball is measured with a screw gauge whose pitch is 0.5 mm and there are 50 divisions on the circular scale. So I have told you about screw gauge, and you know that how to evaluate the least count of screw gauge. The reading on the main scale is 2.5 mm. So main scale reading is given as 2.5 mm, and that on the circular scale is 20 divisions. So 20 division will be coinciding with the linear line given on the main scale. If the measured mass of the ball has a relative error of 2%, so mass has a relative error of 2%, the relative percentage error in the density is 0.9, 2.4, 3.1 or 4.2. Let's see, first of all we need to evaluate the relative percentage error in the density. So density we need to evaluate. So density of any wire will be given as, it's actually a solid ball. It's a solid ball. You see, this is the ball. It's having mass. It has got some radius. So density we need to evaluate, density will be given as mass per unit volume. And volume will be actually 4 by 3 pi r cube. So it will be m upon 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is what we know. Now you see here, if it's given that density you have actually evaluated with the help of screw gauge, and before that it's given that pitch is, if you check the diameter, the pitch is 0.5 mm and there are 50 divisions. So we know least count of screw gauge. How to evaluate? Least count of screw gauge, that will turn out to be pitch upon the number of division on the circular scale. The number of division on the circular scale. This is what I have taught you, and this is what you need to remember. The number of division on circular scale. Now pitch is what? Given 0.5 mm is the pitch. So let me write here 0.5 mm and number of division is 50 on the circular scale. You can just check here, 0.5 mm is the pitch and there are 50 divisions on circular scale. So if we evaluate this, how much it will come out to be? 0.5, if you just multiply it with 100, you will be getting 5, you can write it this as 5 into 10 to power minus 2 divided by, 50, 5 and 1 0, so 50 into 10 to power minus 2 divided by 50 as mm. So you will be having 10 to power minus 2 mm as the least count of the screw gauge. We got this. Now we need to find out the radius of the sphere, and before that it's given that diameter is measured, and diameter, while measuring the diameter, it's given that main scale reading is 2.5 mm and circular scale 20th division is coinciding with the linear line on the main scale. So let me write down the value of the readings. The diameter will be equal to main scale reading plus circular scale reading. This is what I have taught you. Now main scale reading, that is provided as 2.5 mm, and circular scale reading for that 20th division is coinciding. So 20 multiplied with, you see here, 20th division is coinciding with the main scale reading. So you need to multiply it with least count. You will be having this as 10 to power minus 2, because least count I have multiplied. So you will be having 2.5 into plus 0.2, you will be having 2.7 mm. This will be the value of diameter. Let me write down the diameter as capital D. So we got the value of diameter 2.7 mm. Now you see 2.7 mm is the diameter, and if radius I need to write down, I will be writing diameter by 2. And before that, you see here, this is not required now. Let us go ahead and let's write density is mass per unit volume m 4 by 3 pi r cube. This is what I told you. So relative percentage error will come out to be delta m by m multiplied by 100% plus, you see, this term can be written as d by 2. So first of all, if I simplify this again, why we are doing this, you will understand when you see this. If I simplify m upon 4 by 3 pi, and this can be written as diameter by 2 whole cube. So this will turn out to be plus thrice of delta d by d into 100% and whole cube. Sorry, it will be thrice of delta d by d, no, not whole cube. Now delta d, that is what you have written. D value you have 2.7, and delta d will be actually the value of least count. That is 10 to power minus 2, that is what we have evaluated, that is 0.01. So let me go ahead and write down delta m by m into 100%, that is the percentage error in mass, that is 2%. The measured mass of the mole has a relative error of 2%. So let me write down this value as 2% plus thrice of delta d, it was 10 to the power minus 2, so 0.01 divided by the value of d, that is 2.7 multiplied with 100%. Clearly you can now solve this, it will be very easy. You will be having this 0.01 100, it will be getting 1, 3 upon 2.7, you will be getting that as 1 upon 0.9. You can evaluate this and you will be obtaining the percentage error as approximately 3.11%. 3.11%, this is the value of the error in the given value of density, 3.11%. So this will be very nearly equal to, you can write that as 3.1%, not 3.1%. So option number A 0.9, no, 2.4, no, 3.1%. So option number C is the right answer. D 4.2, that's an incorrect response. So I believe that you've understood how we have solved this. You need to individually evaluate each of the term and you need to reach on to the given value. Hope that you find it interesting how we have done this, and hope that it's pretty much clear to you all. Let's go to the next question. Before that, let me clear the board. Question number 6, it's a more than one option correct. In your JEE advanced examination, you can get such questions, will be having more than one option correct. Even one option can be correct, even two options can be correct, either three options can be correct, and all four can be correct. Let's say if the three options are correct, if you mark, let's say A, B, C are the three options that are correct. If you mark all the three as correct, you'll be getting +4 mark, or the maximum marks, whatever is given in that question. And suppose if you mark, you got only A and B, you got, while you checked, you got A and B are correct, and you didn't find whether C is correct or not. So if you mark A and B, you get +1 for A, +1 for B, but you will not be getting the full marks for that. But if you mark any incorrect response, either you have marked A and B as correct, and D also you marked, you will be getting no marks for this. That will not be evaluated. So be cautious. As many options you get correct, and you are very much confident about it, that you are pretty much sure that it is the correct answer, go ahead and mark them. because J is actually, this is actually the best part of more than one option correct. If any 2 or 3 you find that those are correct, you just go ahead and tick them. Need not to worry whether you're finding all the options as the correct answers. The SI unit of inductance, the Henry, can be written as A, Weber per ampere, B, volt second per ampere, C, joule per square ampere, and D, ohm second. You must not be knowing about the inductance. If you have not gone through the class 12 curriculum, you would not be knowing about this inductance, but need not to worry, Weber ampere. I'll be giving an introduction about this with this question. Inductance. Inductance can be written as phi by I, where phi is the flux, I is the current. So flux is written as Weber and current is ampere. So first thing we are having Weber per ampere. Yes, option number A we are getting, that is the right answer. That is the Weber per ampere. So option number A is matching. Let's go with the next formula to express L. L is equal to, we know that potential difference E is equal to minus L di by dt. Need not to worry about this formula, you will come across this. So L can be written as E divided by di by dt. This minus sign just signifies the direction, so I will be using the modular sign, okay, for this. Now you see, if let me also write minus sign here, need not to worry. E is actually potential difference, so for that you will be having as volt. So let me write here as volt, and here you will be having current per unit time. Current per unit time. So if you just check any option, and this time will come in numerator, so you can write volt second per ampere. So we are having volt second per ampere. If you check option B, volt second per ampere, this is also matching. So option B will be also correct response for this, the value of inductance. Next you see, energy stored within a magnetic field per unit volume is given as U equals to half Li square. Energy stored, that is U equals to half Li square. And if I write about inductance from this, it will be coming out 2U by I square. So if I just simplify this, I'll be getting joule, if I write only unit, per ampere whole square. So joule per ampere whole square, let me see any option is matching. Joule per ampere whole square, option C is also matching. So C is also matching, so let me just write here option number C is also correct. Next you see, we can also write U is equal to I square RT, we can write this. And U, just now you told it's half Li square, and U is equal to half Li square. So we can write half Li square equals to I square RT. A, B, C, all three were correct. So we know this. So half Li square is equal to I square RT. So pretty much I square has to be cancelled out. If I write L unit, it will be coming out R into T. So resistance into time, or resistance, that will be written as ohm into second. Ohm into second. So option number D, if you check, we are having ohm into second, that's the option number D. So this is also matching. So clearly D is also the right response for this question. So all four are matching with this, for this given question. A, B, C, D, all four are matching. Let me quickly mark the responses here. A, B, C, D, all four are correct. So if you mark all the four, you'll be getting all the maximum marks for this question. If you mark any 2 or 3, you'll be getting +1 for any one. As many options you'll be marking. If you mark only 1, you're getting +1, any 2, then +2, any 3, then +3, all 4, then +4. Question number 7. Let epsilon naught denote the dimensional formula of the permittivity of vacuum. We have used epsilon naught in this exercise, and mu naught denote at that of the permittivity of vacuum. If m equals to mass, L equals to length, T is time, and I is electric current, then epsilon naught any 2 you have to choose, and mu naught any 2 you have to choose only one. Just now in today's class we have discussed for epsilon naught, so I will not be repeating it once again. That will be actually just taking up more time. So this was the incorrect response. This is incorrect for epsilon naught. We have got m power -1, L power -3, T power 4, I power 2. This we have done today. So this is the right answer for epsilon naught. For mu naught, we are still left. Mu naught, how to use? Let me tell you, the speed of light c is given as 1 upon under root mu naught epsilon naught. So c square can be written as 1 upon mu naught epsilon naught. Is an easy way to find out the value dimensional equation for mu naught. So mu naught will be coming out 1 upon c square epsilon naught. Just simply put up the dimensional equation, dimensional formula for each of the term. Mu naught is equal to c squares in the denominator. So that is Lt power minus 1, because that is actually speed of light, and square, and then for epsilon naught m power minus 1 L power minus 3, m power minus 1 L power minus 3 t power 4 a power 2. You see a t power 4 a I power 2, t power 4 I power 2 we can write in this way, the dimensional formula for mu naught. Next you see, let me be quick and let me write the dimensional formula that's required. M power minus 1 will go in the numerator, m power plus 1, L power 2, L power minus 3, you will getting L power minus 1, it will go in the numerator, then L power plus 1, t power minus 2, t power plus 4, you will get t power 2 in the denominator, so t power minus 2 in the numerator. Here I square you are having, it will become I power minus 2. So m L t power minus 2 I power minus 2, m L t power minus 2 I power minus 2, option number C is correctly matching, and D will be again incorrect response. So B and C are the right answer for this. If you mark B, you will getting plus 1. If you mark B and C, you will getting plus 4 marks here. And if you mark any of the incorrect, then you will be getting no mark for this question. That's a good part of more than one choice, that maximum you can get the maximum mark for the question and minimum you can get 0. There is no negative marking for the more than one option correct. 8th, here you have to match. Match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below the list. In JEE Advanced Examination, matching also can come. So column 1 has Boltzmann constant, coefficient of viscosity, Planck constant, thermal conductivity. Column 2 has PQRS as the given dimensional equation. So we need to check which dimensional equation actually suits with each of the given term. If you know about each of the terms and how to quickly evaluate them, you can get full marks for this matching question. It's a bonus question that can come in your examination. Easy question, let's go with it. Boltzmann constant, where it is used? It's used to denote the kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is given as 3 by 2 kT. This is the term that we have used. So energy, I am using kinetic energy. So if I write the dimensional formula for Boltzmann constant, that will come out to be energy divided by temperature. Here T is for temperature, remember. Energy divided by temperature. Energy is what? mL2 T power minus 2. So I am writing directly mL2 T power minus 2 and temperature is the denominator, so K power minus 1 for Kelvin. mL2 T power minus 2, K power minus 1. mL2 T power minus 2 and L power 2 and K power minus 1. S is matching, you just see mL2 T power minus 2. mL2 T power minus 2, K power minus 1. S is matching, so A is matching with S. Let me be very quick and write down A is matching with S. Let me rub this. Next you see we have coefficient of viscosity, where it will be used. Coefficient of viscosity, this is used in the term, you can use F is equal to 6 pi eta RV. This is used in the Stokes law, this formula, that is the force that is acting on a body which is falling through a fluid. So it's actually F is equal to 6 pi eta RV. From here, if I write the dimensional formula for eta, it will come out to be F divided by the dimensional formula for radius and the dimensional formula for each of the term. Let me just write down. Constant we are not worried about. F can be written as ml T power minus 2. R, you see, it will be L. Velocity will be Lt power minus 1. Let's be very quick. M, this L will be cancelled out. You will be having L in the denominator, so it will become L power minus 1 in the numerator, T power minus 2, it will become plus 1 here, so T power plus minus 1 you will be obtaining here. ML minus 1, T power minus 1 you will be obtaining. ML minus 1, T power minus 1, that is option number Q, matching with coefficient of viscosity, so B goes with Q. B matches with Q. Now let's check the next option, Planck constant. Planck constant, again it's used for energy of a photon, E equals to h into mu. This h is the Planck constant. So Planck constant h can be written as energy divided by mu, that is the frequency. E equals to h mu, that is what we know. Now energy is ml t power minus 2, sorry ml2 t power minus 2 divided by frequency, that is per unit time, t power minus 1. This will be the dimensional formula for Planck constant. ml2 t power minus 2 divided by t power, I didn't wrote completely, this is t power minus 1. So this will turn out to be m L power 2, this will go become plus 1, so t power minus 1, ml2 t power minus 1. So ml2 t power minus 1, option number P, that is matching with Planck constant C, will go with P. So let me write down here, C goes with P. So we have also evaluated the value of Planck, how to find the dimensional formula for Planck constant. Next we have thermal conductivity. You will come across this term, thermal conductivity. It's used here, rate of heat transfer, delta Q by delta T is equal to thermal conductivity K, A area, multiplied with temperature difference T1 minus T2 divided by the length of the conductor. This is where it is used, Ka T1 minus T2 divided by L, that is the length of the conductor. So clearly we can write the thermal conductivity will be as delta Q by delta T multiplied with length divided by area A into T1 minus 2, that is the temperature difference. Delta Q by delta T, that is energy per unit time. Delta Q is energy per unit time. So if I write this as, I'll be getting ml2 t power minus 2 for energy, and the denominator I have per time, so I'm using time here, and length will be as L, area as L power 2, and then I'll be T1 minus T2, that will be going as Kelvin K. Let's simplify this. We'll be having m L power 2, see it will be cancelled out, one L will be left here, so ml t power minus 2, and this will go t power minus 1, we'll be having t power minus 3. We use this, we use this, we use this, and then we'll be left with k power minus 1. ml t power minus 3, k power minus 1, ml t power minus 3, k power minus 1, that's option number R. So D goes with R in this given matching question. So I believe that what option you need to choose, you have understood. A goes with S, B goes with Q, C goes with P, and D goes with R. So bubble across A you have to match, you have to actually write bubble the bubble S, and for B you have to bubble the Q, for C you have to bubble P, and D for D you have to bubble R. Hope that you have understood how to answer the matrix match kind of question. Question number 9. Column 1 gives 3 physical quantities. Select the appropriate units for the choices given in column 2. Some of the physical quantities may have more than one choice. Now here I have not given A, B, C, I have not given P, Q, R, S. Within this given you have to actually make a new column on column 2. I have just given you that sometimes you have to also find out more than one in option in column 2 that will be matching with column 1. Capacitance, its unit is given here, so which will be actually fitting best. So let's check out for capacitance unit, in how many terms, how many ways you can make unit for capacitance. Capacitance is what? It's actually C is equal to Q by V. That's clear. Q is what? Q is actually charge, and charge is actually given as coulomb. Coulomb per volt. Coulomb per volt, that is what we are going to obtain. Let's be very quick to check coulomb per volt, whether anywhere we are having. Yes, coulomb per volt we are having here. So we need to make one column, and we need to make one column too, so to show that how capacitance is matching with each of the given unit, coulomb per volt. So I'll be making here one more table for column 1 and one more table for column 2. So we will be having this column 1 and column 2. First we are having capacitance. We got capacitance as coulomb per volt. Now in terms of charge, if you see, there's given, now next you see ohm second. Ohm is actually unit of resistance, and second is for time. Here you are having coulomb square per joule, also one unit that is given. Now if I give you the energy that is actually associated with a capacitance, that is actually given as, if I write about capacitance, energy associated within the plates of capacitor, that can be written as U is equal to half Q into V. That is the energy stored within the field, electric field of the plate between plates of capacitor, half QV. Now Q, just now I told you, can be written as CV. So that will be half CV square, or let me write on V as, because V, if we replace V as Q by C, half Q square by C, we can write this as half Q square by C. Now pretty much clear to us, C can be written as 2U by Q square. If I write on unit, I'll be having energy, and energy unit is given as joule, and we don't have any unit here. Here we are having coulomb square per joule, so this won't be the unit for capacitance. We got as coulomb per volt here. Now Newton, it's given in Newton ampere meter per 1 minus 1 and volt second, and then again ampere per minus 1. Again, if you check here, volt into second per ampere minus 1, we all know that capacitance is equal to Q by V. So volt cannot be in the numerator. Q by V, because V is in the denominator, so that cannot be in the numerator. This will not be matching. Ohm second, because that's actually unit of resistance, so even that is also not be matching. Then again, let's go and check for inductance. So we got this, and for energy also it was not matching. Next term, let's go with inductance. Inductance, just now I have told you how you can actually describe it, how you can actually use inductance. Inductance, its unit, first of all let me go ahead with the unit of inductance. Inductance is actually L is equal to phi by I. This is what I have told, that is Weber per unit ampere. Then, but here you see the units given are in terms of ohm second, coulomb square per joule, coulomb per volt, and Newton. All these terms are given. So how to actually find out? Again, I can write energy is equal to half Li square. This is what I can use. Now from here, I can be written as charge into time, and if I write this as joule, or L equals to 2U by I square, 2U by I square. So again we'll be having joule per ampere whole square. This term you'll be having. So again this is not matching. So what you do, I have filled up the board. Let me just clear the board at the other end. Let me write from the other end. You just take note till here. Now see, both these equations will not be actually fitting as per the given option. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use something new, and L can be written as, now see, we all know that EMF is equal to modulus of, if I write the modulus, it will be minus L di by dt. So L can be written as E divided by di by dt. This is what we can write, just now I have told you. Now clearly E stands for volt. Time will come in the numerator, volt second. Volt second, now see di we have for current, so I will write here ampere for current. So now you see volt second per ampere. So the matching unit, volt second per ampere, if you see volt second per ampere, that's matching for inductance. So let me go ahead and let me write for inductance, volt second per ampere we are getting. now you see there's a term time constant. That is ratio of inductance with respect to resistance. Time constant T equals to L by R. So L can be written as R into T, that is ohm into second. If units we need to mention, so it will be ohm into second. So we also got ohm into second. If we check ohm into second, there is given here ohm into second. So let me write down for inductance ohm into second also will be a unit. Now before proceeding, there's a term. Now for capacitance, I used for capacitance, once again we'll have a quick recap. I use the term for energy. Half U equals to half Q square by C. This is what we have gone through. C came out to be half Q square by U. So that is actually, this can be written as Coulomb square per unit joule. So if we check Coulomb square per unit joule, we will be having this term for capacitance, Coulomb square per joule power minus 1. So let me write down here, this will be also Coulomb square and joule power minus 1. So we got this for capacitance also 2 units and inductance also we got 2 units. Now we are left with magnetic induction. Magnetic induction, you see, there's a term force that acts on a current carrying wire placed in magnetic field. F is equal to ILB. Okay, now you see F is equal to ILB. B is actually the magnetic induction. So B we can write that as F upon I into L. F stands for Newton, and here we'll be having I for ampere. So ampere power minus 1 we can write ampere power minus 1, and L stands for length. So we can write length, or for that you can see we can write for meter power minus 1. That is meter power minus 1. So we got Newton, ampere power minus 1, meter power minus 1. Let me check for magnetic induction. So Newton, ampere power minus 1, meter power minus 1 we have here for the magnetic induction. So let me write magnetic induction in our column. So we'll be having magnetic induction. For this we are having Newton per ampere, Newton we have, then ampere, meter power minus 1. I hope that clearly you can note up till this end, and this is how column 1 and column 2 you have to arrange in the examination. So we got that several options that are matching. It's not ABC and PQR, that's not been given. I have just told you how you can match, and if examination comes ABC and PQRS, now you would be having an idea how to match them. So we did this column 1 and column 2. Question number 9 has been done. I have shown you separately for each of the units, for each of the variables used in this problem. Let's go ahead with the next problem. And I hope that you are enjoying this session, you are understanding more terms in advance, all the terms that will be used up in your coming class 11th and 12th portion. Let's go ahead with the next question of the class, question number 10. Integer type. So integer type, it means there will be an integer between 1 to 9 or 0 to 9, and only an integer will be the right answer for this. If you get any integer, if you bubble that answer, you'll be getting full marks for it, and if you don't bubble, you'll be getting no marks, and if you bubble any wrong option, you'll be getting negative marks also. So be aware of this. To find the distance d over which a signal can be seen clearly in foggy conditions, a railway engineer uses dimensional analysis and assumes that the distance depends on the mass density rho of the fog. So distance depends on rho of the fog, intensity the power by area S of the light, and from the signal and its frequency f. The engineer finds d is proportional to s power 1 by n, that is the intensity S of the light is given s power 1 by n, the value of n is. Now I have explained you how to solve such kind of dimensional related question. The distance d over which you can see, that's the distance d, is proportional to density rho power a, intensity s power b, let's say, and we have the third term, that is frequency f power c, let's say. So writing the dimensional formula, distance d is what? L. This should be dimensionally correct. Rho power a, that is the density, that is mass per unit volume. So let me write this as m L power minus 3. See the rho, that is mass density rho of the fog, mass per unit volume, power A. Intensity power per unit area, power per unit area. What is power? Power is work done per unit time. So this will be mL2, then T power minus 2 divided by T, you will be getting T power minus 3. This is for power. Then per unit area, let me write down for area, I will be using the denominator L square. And then we will be having frequency, that is time power minus 1. So let me write down here time power minus 1 and power C, and here we had power B. So let me write here power B also. So clearly if I simplify this term, I will be having m power A plus B. So m power A plus B, L power minus 3A plus 2B, and here you see you have L power 2B. Power I have written work done per unit time, and one more thing. Power I have written work done per unit time and per unit area, so that's for intensity. L power 2B, L power 2B, that will be cancelled out here, and L power minus 3A still we have, so L power minus 3A will be only term that we will be having. Next term you see, that is the time term, time minus 3B and minus 3C. Minus 3B and minus C, minus 3B minus C, you will be getting the term for time. Once again, let's be very quick to check. Here we have the density, mass per unit volume, so m L power minus 3 power A, we written intensity power per unit area. Power is work done multiplied by distance, so I have done it's power is work done per unit time, and work done will be mL2 T power minus 2, and then again divide by time for power, you will be getting T power minus 3, then power B, and here per unit area, so I have used L power 2, power B, and T power minus 1 for frequency, and power C. Clearly if we just match both left hand side and right hand side, we will be having L power 1 and here L power minus 3A, so A will come out to be 0. First thing we get, A will come out to be 0, and if you see here rest of the term, we can easily evaluate the value of B and C. So since still we have less space here, you just take note till here. Let me write the other end. Okay, I believe that is a very short small calculation mistake here. A will not be equal to 0. You see minus 3A will be equal to plus 1. So let me write down here minus 3A is equals to plus 1, or A will come out to be, or A will be equal to minus 1 by 3. This is the term that we are going to have, A equals to minus 1 by 3. Now clearly if you see here A plus B will be equal to 0. A plus B equals to 0. So we can write B equals to minus A or B equals to plus 1 by 3. A equals to minus 1 by 3, B will come out to be plus 1 by 3. Now B is the power for the intensity S. So S power B, so we got how it is related, that is actually S power 1 by 3, and here we are given that S is power 1 by N. If you compare S power 1 by N with this, you will be having N will come out to be 3. If you just compare, because B is equal to 1 by 3, S equal to 1 by N, you will get B is equal to N equals to 3. The value of N is clearly for this integer type question, that is 3. That is the bubble you have to actually mark. Hope that you've understood how to solve the integer type question. These are all the first 10 questions that we have in this JEE Advanced Pattern exercise for this unit and measurement. I hope that you have understood how to apply the concept that we have learned. I wish that you all practice more in this chapter. That's what's required. When you practice more, your efficiency, your speed increases, and you understand how to apply the concepts in each and any of the given question. Hope that you've enjoyed this session. Hope you have liked it. Hope you've understood and have realized how important this exercise is. If you practice questions, you can easily answer question both in mains and advanced examination. So I wish you all the very best, and thank you for joining me. Be with me for the rest of the classes. Thank you everyone. Wish you all the very best.